Hi, David Bartholomeusz from Griffin Alliance here. Just giving you a rundown on how to do an annual lever cycle with 7 levers once you've done 12 months of quarterly levers. So really important. This is quite a short movie compared with the other one, but don't watch this movie if you haven't watched the other movie, which goes for half an hour, and done the 4 quarters of the 7 levers, because this builds off that. And I'm not going to go through any of the back stuff. There's no point in trying to understand and master this until you and your team have done 4 consecutive quarters of the 7 levers 90 days action plans. So if you haven't done that, go back and watch the 7 levers 30-minute one for quarterly levers and just go and do the 4 quarterly levers. There's no point in watching this. Sorry to harp on about that, but there's no point. You're just going to confuse yourself, and I'm going to assume knowledge that you will only know if you've actually done 4 quarters of 7 levers, not if you've read it, but if you've actually done it for a year. So that's that done. So straight into it, quick movie. All right, so what we do in an annual, when we've done this, is the first key outcome is in the first year that we do this, we're looking to allocate owners for every lever. And the owners for each lever change every 12 months. And being an owner of a lever is not a thing about rank, like I'm better than you. It's about I have demonstrated in the last 12 months to be the most effective person in this company, according to my peers, to move this lever, and therefore I'm going to be accountable to it and put it to my KPIs. So this comes from a consensus, and what we're trying to do in the annual cycle is, first of all, get a consensus about which person should own each lever for the 12 months. So who's going to actually hold on to that lever and make sure it doesn't move backwards while we're working on the levers in each 90-day cycle. And also, if their lever happens to be one of the levers that's chosen for the 90-day cycle, that's the go-to person for best practice about moving forward for that lever. And then that person is also the person that's driving that lever and all the different goals and coordinating all of the projects for that lever for that quarter. So that's quite a bit of extra work for them, but it's also a chance for them to really exercise their mastery of that lever. So I'm not going to go through what all the different levers mean. We all know that because we've done that for 12 months. What I'm going to talk to you is about the system for how we do this. So the first thing to do is to report in what I moved best in the last year. And so every person's going to report the 3 things that they think that they best moved in the last year from their actual reviewing their metrics and their levers from the 4 quarters, to say the things that I moved best last year were these three levers. The number one lever I moved the best was I moved this lever twice, or I moved this lever 3 times. The number 2 was this one, and the other lever was this one. And to actually tell us the levers they moved best in the last year so that we understand best, second best, third best. And that's what we want to understand. The second thing we're going to do is, once we've seen that, we're actually going to do a lever impact study for the last year and say, hey, look at the levers that were actually moved and also the people that can move them, just to give us a bit of an idea about the levers that we're already good at moving, and also potentially the levers that we thought were really important to move as well, just to get our head into the space of the brainstorm. Now, the brainstorm that we do for the levers for a full year is exactly the same in style as the brainstorm that we do every quarter, so you know how to do it, but it's really important to think about what we want to do in a year. So this is not about what can we move in the next 90 days. This is a little bit of different thinking. This is what can we move in a year that if we move it will make the biggest difference to this company. So when you're doing your 90-day plans, you're just going, you know what, we're under fire here, we've got some places to go, we've only got 90 days here. What can I move in 90 days? What can we move in 90 days? Let's just move some stuff, right? Come on, let's go, 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 go. This is totally different. This is now stepping back and going, we're in a safe place. Let's have a look at the company, where we've come in the last 365 days, and now actually ask yourself, if we were only going to move a few things in the next year, what would be the things that were most important to move in each category that we think we can do in a year? So this is totally different. This can be a bit more pie in the sky. This can be a bit more ambitious as well, but also it can be more general as well. And so, we might see the success that we've had in lifting sales volume and say, you know what, sales volume has been really, really good, but our profit percentage hasn't moved for the last 12 months. And there's no point in lifting sales volume and keep growing all of our overheads and all these sorts of things and making the company bigger if we can't move our profit percentage. So, I think the profit percentage is really, really important. And these are some things I think that we could implement over the next 12 months, which would make a massive difference to profit percentage. So we're trying to get our ideas about what would make this company fundamentally better if they were achieved in 365 days from now. So it's a bit of a different headset. But the style of the brainstorm is exactly the same. Okay, I've got this idea for something we can do in the next 12 months. What is that thing? how do we then, what is that? Where does that idea fit? Where does my idea fit? I've got this amazing idea. Where does it fit? The other side of it is from each person to actually ask them if there was one thing that we were going to do this year that would move profit percentage the most, or what's the one thing that we could do, in the next 12 months from your point of view, if you were the CEO, what was the one thing you would have us do that would most reduce overhead percentage and really revolutionize that for the company? And just going through and everyone suggesting at least one thing that we could do that would most impact each of these things in the next 12 months, that's doable in 12 months. So that's the brainstorm. So exactly the same style, but a slightly different headset. A little more general, a little more pie in the sky, and really asking ourselves what's best for the company, for all of us, if we actually had these things done. So then what we do is we've done the reporting and brainstorming. We then do the suggesting. So once we have a look at our map here and our brainstorm, we then go, okay, what do we see, each of us individually, as the number 1, number 2, and number 3 levers for the next year? So I'm now asking each person to individually put their CEO hat on and go, as CEO, the number 1 lever for this year is this lever and this is why. And we want you to tell why this time, because in 12 months, we really are looking more to the why. So we want to know from you not just what you think the most important lever is, but why you think that is, and give some people some insights into why you think if we revolutionise work in progress days, that's going to revolutionise the whole company and really make it better for everyone. So we go through and everyone tells their number 1 and why, one cycle, then everyone tells the number 2 and why, and then number 3 lever and why. And then each person gets to go through and tell us which lever they think they are best at moving and why. And we kind of alluded to this in the report, but we really want people to just overtly state, based on the number 1, 2, and 3 things they've seen, really what they see as the lever that they want to move the most this year because they think they're really, really good at it. Not the one that they think the company would benefit most from if they moved it, but the one that they're best at. And then what we'll have in here is a map of the levers that are most important to move and the levers that people can best move. So we get a bit of a map of where we've got our strengths in terms of levers. So once we've got that map, the next thing we do is to choose. We actually have to figure out the top 3 levers for the company in the next 12 months. Then we need to figure out the best lever and the alternative for each person. So each person then needs to say, for each person go through and say, this person's best lever is this, and if they weren't moving, being accountable for that one, their best lever would be this one. And just figure that out so we've got a bit of a map of that. And then we're going to suggest one lever that we think each person would be best at. So saying, it's great, Dave, that you think that you're really good at sales volume, but I also think that you're really good at work in progress days, just to give that feedback to people. So then, once we've done that, we'll have a really, really clear map in here of which levers we think are the most important for us to approach in the next 12 months. We'll also have a map of all the levers, and we'll also have one lever suggestion for each other. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the whole company levers and goals. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and find a key goal for every lever. So every lever will have a key goal for the 12 months. We're also going to know which 3 levers are the most important for the 12 months overall. So we've got a bit of a focus and say, hey, this year we're really going to be pushing, this, this, and this, because they're the things that are going to make the big difference. That will colour our discussions every 90 days. Doesn't dominate the discussion, but it colours our discussion. And also, we're then going to create an owner for every lever. So for the 12 months, and it's only for 12 months, every lever will have someone who's responsible for it, for tracking it, making sure that it's on track, and also is accountable for achieving the goal for that lever for the 12 months moving forward. Doesn't mean they have to do the work, but it means they need to come every quarter and make sure that we're trying to, every quarter, make sure that we achieve the overall goals that we've set forward for the whole year. So once we've done that, we've got the whole company levers and goals, the owners of each lever. Then there's an opportunity, if we've got time, to have a look at personal KPIs. So look at each lever and look at the goal, and everyone go, well, if I really knock this goal out of the park, this is what it would look like. And then, and this is very important to understand, what we want to hear at the start of every year from each person is 4 different ways, completely different ways, that they could achieve the whole of their KPI in any 90-day period based on where the company is at right now. So 4 completely independent ways that if we only get to work on your goal for 1 quarter, 4 different ways it could be achieved. So, if we get to work on your goal every quarter, because it's, in the top 3, we might be working on those every quarter, then you're going to have a chance to roll out 4 different approaches. But if we only get one opportunity to work on your particular goal, one quarter where it's in the crosshairs in the top 3, then we really want to make sure that we've got some different approaches that can then be delegated out to different people on the team and say, hey, we've only got, this is the 4th quarter, we haven't even had a chance to work on this goal. Here's 4 approaches that I can suggest that we can get this nailed. And I want, Dan to do this, and Simon to do this, and, Mary to do this. So that's the 4 quarterly approaches. We want to see that at the start of the year and really have you own the goal and have some approaches. And then you can adjust those approaches if you come up with different ideas throughout the quarters and throughout the year. So I hope this is helpful for you. This is how we do the annual planning. This annual planning doesn't actually have to take much longer than the quarterly planning. Then we have a week to solidify this, and then we'll come in and do the quarterly planning for the first quarter, this time with people owning each lever, which is quite different than what's done in the first year. So I hope that's helpful. Any questions, just email me, davidbartholomews@gmail.com anytime, and make sure you CC the rest of the group in so I can ask the question for the whole group to get us focused. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in a planning meeting very, very soon.